Hey Michael, it's Chris. Okay, I finally got my audio fixed, so I will try to run through this video pretty fast. I don't want you sitting here watching something for half an hour. So here we go. So I'm in Autodesk Inventor. What I'm going to do real quick, this is the workflow that I've been running from CAD to MOI into Modo and then into Octane or something like that. So the first part that I do, because selection sets in Modo are pretty cumbersome because there's a bunch of triangles and or a bunch of quads. What I do here is the CAD software lets me make selections based on surface, surface break lines. So like I can choose that entire surface right there with one click. Whereas in Modo, I would have to, paint a selection here of a bunch of triangles. You'll see when we get there. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm just going to make a series of selections. So I'm going to grab this flat face. I'm going to grab that one. There's a small flat right here. And I'm getting ready to assign a material to these faces like I would in Modo. That would be a selection set for a different material. So I'm going to change its properties to, let's just say yellow. That's pretty easy to see. Okay, and then this is a chamfer for a thread chamfer, so I'm going to grab that. And I'm going to grab this thread chamfer right here. And these two are going to get a different surface. Because the reason I'm selecting them like this is because each one of these surfaces, it will be the same material. The entire part will be a stainless steel, but this might have a different texture on it. And again, it's just faster to do a selection set here than it is in Modo. So I'm going to grab these faces here. These are the hex flats for the wrench. So we're going to give those a material. Let's see, orange. I got a set number of colors that I use for this type of stuff. Then I have this, let's see. Any of the surfaces are kind of like the round surfaces of the part. These all get selected at once as well. There we go. And I think that's going to be it for that. Yep. All right. So that gets a cyan. I could have done this ahead of time, but I kind of wanted to see the process. That way you'll know exactly why I'm asking you for that, the ability to do that, because if you think this is taking a long time to select this stuff, imagine how long it takes in Modo. All right, so now I got a set of fillets here. These fillets are what I call the break edges. These are what's going to give me those nice highlights in the render. So I just go ahead and do a set of those as well. Set those to that. And I think, oh, the threads, yeah. So the threads take a second to select here. So let's do this surface, only because I got to get into this small surface right here. There we go. This. That. All right. Let me get this one set. I got one more thread and then I'll be done. We can go over to MOI. Okay. You know what? I'm going to leave this last thread undone so you can kind of see. So this might have been a small surface that I missed or something on the CAD part. But let's leave that one undone for right now. So I'm going to export this. And I'm going to choose the CAD format step. So I try to bring steps into MOI if possible. So what I'm going to do is change this so I know that these have been layered. This is going to be that part number layers, sorry. And that's a 20 series, okay. All right, let's step over to MOI. I'm also going to go ahead and get Modo going as well. That way it's opening in the background. All right, so we're going to open this part in MOI. If it will open. Okay, we're on a 20. Should be the only one in here called layers. There it is. Okay, so when this comes into MOI, you know how this works. So I've got one object and I've got 7 styles. Each one of these styles is mimicking a selection set that I did in CAD that was exported with the part. So if I turn all these off, that number 1 is that last one I did here that was that should have been part of level 2 but is not. And I'm not really sure, how to, like, I'd like to be able to write what would be really nice on here is, see this level 1, if I could right click on this level 1 or say choose a surface here. Like I want to choose this surface, but I want to assign it to level 2. It would be nice if I could do that. Like if I could just drag this, and I can't drag it, so let's not do that. Let me back up. So it'd be nice if I could right click on this and say assign to existing level or something like that. That would be really handy. But each one of these levels, I would love to export as its separate mesh, and you'll see why here in just a second. So let's go ahead and turn all these back on. And let's, first of all, let's save this. I don't even know what the part number is. Let me see here. The part number is 201012. Okay, so let's save this as the 3DM 20010-012. Yes, and then let's export a copy here on OBJ. And this is going to be that part number underscore layers underscore OBJ. Okay, now let's figure out, let's see how 6 works here. I got to find something that's small enough, but also keeps my curvatures. So we'll run with 4 here, and I'm not going to change any of these numbers here. So we'll just run with 4. Okay, so now I'm going to run over to Modo, and we are going to launch Modo. And I've got the UV window open because I'm pretty much going to jump right into that. So let's bring in that part from MOI, and then we will see what we got here. So 2010. There it is. Okay. So now when Modo brings this in, it's going to give me one object because it's exporting the object from MOI. So there was one object in MOI, so there's one solid in Modo, and that's seen here. And let's go ahead and zoom into this. There we go. All right, so as you can see, we got the one solid, but you can also see we have colors on here. So if I switch over to shading, you'll see that it brought over all 7 levels, okay? Each one of these levels was mapped as a color, so that means I have a selection set. So for example, if I click the object, and so I'm in object mode right now, and then I go up and click one of these materials. So let's click material or level 4, and then I click the number 4 in Modo. It's going to show me the selection set for that color. So normally what I do right here is I go copy, then I go back to the object space, and I create a new mesh, and then I paste. So what it did is it pasted those surfaces into that new mesh. And then I turn that one off. I go back to solid, and I go to, say, object 1, hit 4 to select it, copy it, go back here. What I'm trying to do is avoid doing what I'm doing right now, which is just copying and pasting each of these surfaces into its own mesh. Now, some people would not do this, and I have a reason for doing this at times, is get everything in their own mesh. Because if I know my UVs are going to go outside of the UDOM, then I have to do it this way, because anything that goes outside of this UDOM square would then repeat onto any other parts that are in there. So let me just go back here real quick, and let me turn this one off, go back to the solid, hit 5 for object mode, and then go back to, I think level 2 is the other thread. So let's see. Yep. So I'm going to copy that one. Now I know, because I know there was a thread right here, I'm just going to go ahead and paste it into there. That way both threads are in the same mesh. And then what we're going to do here is call this 20.010.012 underscore threads. And then this one was underscore flats, so 2010 underscore flats. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for right now. You don't need to see me selecting all this stuff, but what you're starting to figure out is I'm taking each one of those 7 surfaces and I'm mapping them over here. Now, if I didn't want to do that, okay, if I just wanted selection sets, I could just go here and I could just select these and put everything in the same utum. But what I'm trying to do is get those individual levels here. I'm trying to copy the polygons that were mapped with these materials and then create their own objects out of them. And if MOI could export, like if there was something that could export each one of these levels as their own object, so there's one object. What would be nice is if it would export this one object and then export these 7 with it. Maybe it exports the whole object, that's everything selected, and then it exports each one of these as their own object. Or just forget this solid and just export the levels would be fine. I mean, if that's all we could get, that would be completely fine. Because when everything's said and done, what I end up with is 7 new meshes, and I turn this mesh off. That way I can go through here and I can just completely isolate just the meshes I want to work on. So now if I'm in this mode here, and let's grab this one real quick and I'll kind of show you what happens here. When I hit texture here, it's showing me the UVs for the entire selection. So if I select all these surfaces and I re-UV those and I change that to, let's see, it's on planar. If I change that to Y and then I kind of stretch these out to where it's 1-to-1 again, and then get them to fit in that utum, then there we go. We've got everything, and I can map a material to these flats, and these all share the same material because they're all going to share a similar texture set across each of these surfaces. That's my reason for wanting to isolate the layers like that. All right, well, that's all I got for you. Hope this explains kind of what I was talking about. So just in short, it would be nice if, one, it could ask us if we want to export the object with the layers. 2, it would be nice if we could export the object with the layers as well as the layers individually. So in this case, it would open up 8 objects in Modo or Cinema 4D or something like that, with the ability to turn off the main object or leave on the individual levels. Or 3, which would be the absolute minimum, but I think would be an awesome feature to add into MOI, would be the ability to export the object, a checkbox at the end. Do I want to export the object or the solid, or do I want to export the individual styles as their own meshes? Okay, Michael, again, thanks for taking the time to watch this, and that's all I got for you. Thank you.